This is the story of how I became a digital marketing specialist at 19. I'm excited to be telling this story because I'll be honest, it was a struggle. It's so much work and so much frustration and annoyance and 2 years of my life that I will never get back again. But I'm here to tell you that it was worth it, and I finally have my dream job. I'm working for the biggest skin clinic in Queensland and they're amazing. But you're not here to know why I love my job or whatever. You're here to know how you can get a graduate level job without ever graduating. I feel like I'm still in my second year. I haven't started my third year of university yet. So I got this job like 6 months ago, which was like smack in the middle of my second year at university. And just to clarify, I was doing a bachelor's degree. And this is not to brag or anything, it's just I worked so hard from the first year because I knew that as an international student, it's so hard to land a job in Australia, and I needed to be prepared so that when I do graduate, my prospects are good and not like poopy. So when I hopped off the plane and just landed in Australia, I had zero experience. Like honestly, I hadn't stepped a foot outside my house or outside my school. I had never ever been in a work environment. I'd never gotten paid, nothing. So when I came to Australia, I'm like, I should get this money thing that's been going around. I want to buy my own groceries and shit. So I sent out literally like 250 job applications, and I'm not kidding about the number. I sent a lot of applications and I got one trial run at Chompers, which was honestly the most terrible thing ever for them, not for me. They were so nice to me. They didn't call me back after that, and when I emailed them, they're like, so sorry, but you were too slow. And I'm like, nice. I'm the only person in my friend group who didn't have a job, and every time we would go out, I'll be like, say like, you want to share that? Or, oh, that's a little bit expensive. And I didn't want to keep seeing people being like,
oh, poor girl, she doesn't have money. You know what you should do? You should get a job, honey. You should get a job like me. This is what I did. This is my awesome resume.
I was trying so hard, you guys, and all I had on my resume was volunteering experience, and nobody gives a shit about that. Everybody wants experience. So I had to find a way to get experience. And then one of my friends actually gave me a piece of advice that changed the way I looked at getting a job. They basically said that only look for a job in the field that you see yourself building a career in. And I'm like, makes sense. I am studying advertising and probably want to become an advertiser. So the very next day I got up, I stopped looking for waitressing gigs, for salesman gigs, fundraising gigs. There were some weird shit in my history, let me tell you. I'm just like, digital marketing, that's what I'm doing, and that's all that I'm looking for. You're probably like, great, now you still have no experience and no one's gonna give you a job. And you're right, nobody would pay me for skills that I didn't even have at the time. I needed to get those skills. So what's the alternative? They don't pay me. So yes, not very glamorous, but I did look for like internships and like work for free stuff. And I finally started working with a blockchain consulting company as their social media lady. And my luck was so great that that company shut down within 3 months of me joining it. Once the blockchain company shut down, I'm like,
gone. My hopes and dreams are gone. No one else is gonna take me.
and I'm like, okay, Ritesha, calm down. Just look at your resume just once again and see if there's something that you could, like build off of. And then I'm like, oh wait, I was the editor of the school magazine. So yes, I love writing. I still love writing and I was good at it. So that means that I should continue doing it, but I should find a way to get paid for it. So that's when I started working with like a lot of content mills. Now, content mills are essentially websites that pay you
a very little amount
for doing a ton of work. So I was getting paid like $13 to write like a 1,500 word article, and I would have to research it and spend so much time on it, honestly. But I was happy. I was happy I was getting money. I was happy I was getting some sort of experience. Happy I could like buy a coffee if I wanted to. But obviously, I still couldn't afford my rent. I couldn't afford to pay for my groceries. And that is something I desperately wanted to do. And that is when I set up my own freelance business called Ritesha Writes Copy. So I started freelance copywriting, and I learned so much about SEO, about blog post writing, about how to package things properly, how to make things appealing on the internet. Honestly, I studied so much because I wanted to have clients and do my job properly, because this was my business, this was my baby. I wanted to see it thrive and survive at least. And obviously, as we have established from like the channel trailer, I'm a success junkie. I can't take no for an answer, and that's a problem. So when this business failed, spoiler, it did, I was honestly devastated, but I did get a lot out of it and I did make a lot of mistakes. So let's start with the mistakes. First mistake, and the biggest mistake I ever did, I was too shy. Like, I wouldn't reach out to people. I wouldn't be like, hey, this is my business. Even though I knew so much at this point about marketing, I did not put it to good use or use at all, honestly. I wrote one cold email and I kind of sent it to a lot of people. That was it. Didn't reach out as much as I could. I didn't put myself out there as much as I could have, and that definitely contributed to my business going down. At the same time, while I was doing this, I was also working with another company, working for free. I know, not ideal, but again, like, nobody's gonna pay me if they can't see that I have skills and experience. I truly believed in this company that I was working with at this time, and I believed in their mission, and that actually made it so much easier for me to work for free and help them grow. And that's when I actually started putting a lot of my knowledge of digital marketing to use, because maybe I was far enough from their business to actually understand what's good for them. At the same time, I still managed to work with over 10 companies and also work with 2 marketing agencies in Brisbane. And never in a million years did I think that I would actually be working with agency. I am so happy about it. I was also published on like 4 online platforms. Again, could have been more, but I didn't. And instead, I spent my time like tweaking my website, improving my LinkedIn, but not really going out there and being like, come on in, check me out. But after I saw like agencies notice me and hire me, I felt capable enough of actually moving up and saying, look, I want a full-time job. I don't want to work for free, and I don't want to freelance and not have any stability in my life. Like, I never knew when to expect my next paycheck. I didn't know if I could pay my rent the next week because I didn't know if the client would pay me at that time. And that's why I realized that I also missed having people around, because I had worked in an office environment and I missed that. That's when I decided I should look for, like a real job, as my mom would say. And yeah, I got a real job. If you're wondering how many resumes I sent out to land this job, again, 200. I applied for literally anything that I thought I could do or that I could learn how to do. I'm just like, send that resume everywhere. Yeah. Out of all of those, I landed like 4 job interviews, callbacks, whatever. And out of that, I got offered 2 jobs. I know what you're thinking. You're like, so you sent out 100 job applications and you got 4 responses. Wow, nice. But you also need to consider that I still wasn't like the most experienced person. I was still just 20 years old. I was still in my 2nd year at university, and I didn't know jack shit about the corporate world. So I'm gonna take that statistic. 4 out of 100, still pretty good. Better than 0. All 4 of these companies were actual companies. They weren't gonna collapse soon. They weren't just starting out. They were real established companies, and they wanted to pay me. That's a huge step up for me, especially when compared to my first job hunt. That was a flaming disaster. So out of these 4 jobs, I was offered 2 jobs. One was a freelance one, in which they wanted me to write like product descriptions and stuff, website copy. And the other one was a digital marketing permanent part-time job. you can guess which one I took. Now, if you're wondering, well, why did they hire you? I know I've told you the whole saga of how I got experience, but why did they hire me out of the 81 people who applied for the job? And I actually asked my hiring manager about it, and the answer was so simple, it kind of like scared me a little bit. She said that they just wanted someone who was experienced and capable of working on their own and who was nice. And apparently I ticked all three boxes. Because of all the freelancing that I did and all the companies I worked with, now I was able to work by myself with minimal supervision. I could handle a lot of work. I knew how to work deadlines. There's just so much stuff that I learned at that time, and I thought I was so stupid, but I wasn't. But at the end of the day, and this probably sucks, but you need a job to get a job. You need experience to get a job. No one's gonna give you a job without any experience unless like you're super well networked or you're incredibly lucky. I was neither of those things. That's the big secret. You have to get a job to get a job. I knew that nobody was going to pay me for the skills that I didn't have, and I accepted that. So I worked for free. I developed those skills. I taught myself so many things that I know that other people in my class at university don't know, because I put that extra effort into knowing about SEO, about algorithms, about web design and user experience. And I know a lot of people in my class that I've talked to haven't even put that effort. I started looking for a job when I was in my first semester, and people start looking for their job in their last semester. And I was an international student, and that is why I actually had like this fire on my bum telling me that if you don't get experience, honey, someone else with Australian citizenship or PR is gonna go ahead and take that job from you. I'm not saying I'm better than everyone else in my class. I'm just saying that I did have to work really hard as an international student, and as a lot of other international students already know, you have to work twice as hard to get your work actually recognized and for you to get a job. I hope that was helpful in some way and gave you some insight into the Australian job market. And I'll be coming out with like a ton of helpful like job tips and resume tips and what do employers want and how to get a career in digital marketing started and stuff like that. So if that's what interests you, just hit the subscribe button, like it to tell me that you actually enjoyed this video and that was helpful. Have any questions, comment them and I will answer them for you. Till then, thank you so much for watching. You're amazing, and I hope you find happiness in a job like I did. Bye! You guys seriously have to look at Charlie. She is so cute! Hello, baby! She's just like sitting in front of the heater and she loves it, man. She's flying!